So we've got a pretty large Class C motorhome, and it's 32 feet long, and it's on an E450 chassis, which means that there's a lot of real estate here behind the rear axle, and because of the placement of things that can get quite heavy, like our water tank is all the way in the back, and at 8 pounds per gallon, when that water tank is completely full, that's a lot of weight. And we tend to run completely full since we're always dry camping. But there's a lot of other stuff here. Our wastewater tanks drain on this side. We have a spare tire. We've got a large battery bank over here and a slide out on the other side. So depending upon how we're all loaded up for the road, the weight distribution can sometimes be a little off, and it tends to be a little heavier here on the driver's side. So I want to be able to make some small adjustments to that and give our leaf springs here on the rear suspension a little bit of extra help by installing some airbag little helper springs here. So there's gonna be one on each side. To be able to make those minor adjustments on the fly, I'm also installing an onboard air compressor that has this handy little wireless remote. So I'll be able to just, at a push of a button, make those little adjustments. So it's a pretty decent day today, which is unusual as of late. So I think it's a good day to get this project done. So let's head inside and I'll show you the other parts of the system, and then we'll head back out and we'll get it installed. All right, here are the two airbags here. Yeah, there's no pressure in there yet. These are part of the Air Lift system. So Air Lift is the brand, and the other main one is Firestone, like the tire company. So I went with the Air Lift system, and I went on their website and found the system that was compatible for my chassis, which is it's a 2007 Ford E450 Class C motorhome chassis. One of the main selling points for the Air Lift system is that it has what's called a jounce bumper, which is this rubber piece that they actually have built into the inside of this airbag. Now you can see it's that white piece that's inside the airbag. It just sits there in the bottom, and it's just the last bit of cushioning in there, just in case you have no pressure in your airbag and you hit a big bump or something. That's one of the main reasons why I chose this system. Now, I've gone ahead and pre-assembled everything. Each one of these airbags has got an air inlet, so you can use the air line that came with it. We would cut this so that we have enough length to route it from each airbag to some spot on your RV that's accessible, that you can either use an air compressor to inflate each one individually. The option I chose to go with is to install this separate piece from Air Lift, and this is an onboard air compressor and manifold unit. Now this is a separate piece, like I said, and it's actually pretty expensive, so keep that in mind if you wanted to just go with the bags, or if you wanted to add an onboard compressor. It's probably a really nice to have. It looks pretty straightforward to install. You shouldn't have to remove any wheels or anything like that, since we're not putting it on a lift and jacking it up really high. As long as you can get under there and be able to access that area behind the wheel where your leaf springs are and your axle is. Now I have a jack I'm going to use to just lift part of that frame while I'm working on it, and then I'll just shift that to the other side. If you have some automatic levelers built into your motorhome, then that would probably work also, just to give you a little bit of height. And if you have some jack stands to give you a little extra support while you're under there, that's going to be a good idea as well. Well, that was a pain in the butt. But I got both of the jounce bumpers removed. The rest should be a little bit easier. All right, let's get this sucker up in the air. A little tight. So one thing to point out here is that on this side of the axle there is a brake line that runs across here. So these straps are actually designed to account for that, and one end of these straps is actually longer this side than the other side. So that's to create some clearance here to clear this brake line. So just going to be careful here as I tighten these down so that there's still plenty of room between the brake line and the bolt. So I'm just going to keep cranking these down a little bit at a time. Well, that was a lot easier. Well, so far this passenger side is coming together a lot quicker than the driver's side. Just working around all the wire harnesses and all that stuff on the other side is just a pain in the butt, and things were just really difficult to get around. So this is definitely going in a lot quicker. Of course, you know, there's a couple things I had to figure out on the other side, like to make it easier to put this top bolt through. That took me a while on the other side, but got that figured out, the right way to do it, and it's definitely going in a lot quicker now. So should be able to just get this put on pretty soon and get it torqued down, and then we can get to work on the air compressor, put some air in these bags. All right. Well, welcome to the rear of the RV. Now this is my spare tire, in case you didn't figure that out. And this is where I'm gonna power the air compressor. I've run the power cable all the way from about midway down the RV all the way back here, and wired it into this box. Now this is a 12-volt line that I've already run and tied into my DC distribution panel, so it's connected through my DC system and powered primarily from my main house batteries. So that should be enough. It's on a 30 amp circuit, so the fuse for the power line for the compressor is rated for a 15 amp fuse. So I'm going to wire this fuse that they provided in here on the positive side and then tie into this 12-volt circuit. So I'm just going to power it directly from my main 12-volt battery bank. All right, back here at the air compressor. Now we're going to connect the manifold to the actual air compressor here. So it's basically connecting these red and black wires here. That's going to actually power the air compressor from the manifold, which is going to get its power from the main battery bank. So we have to clip these off. All right, strip off the end of this here. Create a nice long piece here because the splice they gave you is pretty big, so I'm gonna double these up since this is a lighter gauge wire here than this one. So what I'm going to do is just fold that in half like that, and then that'll fit better in this splice, just like that. Perfect. Crimp that. So throughout this project, I've been second guessing whether or not installing this onboard air compressor was even necessary, because I could still manually inflate each airbag. But now that I've been out testing it and driving around and trying it out, I'm really glad I went that route, because being able to just whip out this remote from the driver's seat or anywhere around the RV and make adjustments to the airbags, it's really, really handy. That's pretty cool. And you know, you can see what the PSI is and the inflation level and make those quick adjustments on the fly. I'm really glad that I went that route now. But I still installed a couple of auxiliary inflation points and mounted the Schrader valve pieces inside this cabinet in the rear, so I can still make those manual adjustments. And they included those T connectors on the airline with the kit, so you can easily just add those and have both this remote option and the manual inflation option. But overall, this kit has been really complete. You know, you got those T connectors and a whole bunch of other stuff, even the heat shield that you might need around the passenger side because it's close to the to the exhaust line. You know, the heat shield piece you can just mount there. It's really easy. And they even included this like heat shielded sleeve that goes around the air line on the airbag near that exhaust. Normally I have to go to Home Depot or somewhere to pick up some extra pieces to complete the project, but I didn't have to do that this time. I did make a quick adjustment to the carriage bolts that were holding down the bracing around the axle. They were just a little long and a little close to the shock absorber, so I trimmed those off and filed away the sharp edges, and I like the way they look now. This is definitely a DIY project if you don't mind crawling around underneath the RV. You know, that's never fun. But I'd love to hear what your comments are, what you think about this project. If you've done this before, you know, are there any tips that you can offer? If I did something wrong, let me know. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. Hopefully you like this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and you hopefully learned something. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm gonna go keep warm now. It's been cold out here. See you later.